So I'm going to start with a funny, which is also part of the funny is also, it's also part of the dad of the bride speech. Okay. So he's going to talk about compromise. Okay. And this is what he's going to say. This is what he's going to say.
You're not gonna like ruin surprises, are you?
No, no, this is one funny story. It's perfect for everyone to hear. So at the wedding will be approximately 3 weeks since the queen decided to go to heaven. All right. So he wanted to work in a story about compromise in a kind and loving way because I don't know who this man is, like just like invested in this speech. You guys need to know the man who fears speaking over death is invested. He is watching dad toasts on YouTube. He has Googled a format. You have to thank, you have to welcome, you have to thank, you have to do like, there's like 6 things you have to, okay, okay,
There's
okay,
the format. Okay.
it's okay. So, because he's an investigator.
Uh-huh.
And then there's going to be a story about patience that I'm definitely not going to tell you guys because it's too good and also you'll cry. But I will tell you the compromise story because you're supposed to give real life advice. But of course, he's funny. So his real life advice is actually going to be funny. So here's his story on compromise. If anyone knows us, they'll know why the story is started. If they don't know us, it won't matter because the story is still good. So on Saturday, he's going to say, 3 weeks ago, my wife and I talked about getting a dog. And which that's part actually isn't true because we didn't actually talk about it. Okay. It's just okay. My wife and I talked about getting a dog, and I thought maybe we should wait until spring after winter passed to get a new dog. So you didn't have to take them out in the cold and train them and all of that. And my wife thought we should get one right away. So we compromised. And
Hazard reported ahead on
we
West
got two
National Avenue,
dogs.
600 feet. You're still on the fastest route.
Hello. Did you hear me? Did you even hear my joke? Did you didn't hear it?
We heard Siri.
No, we know Rhonda's going
Why
somewhere.
is it
Okay.
not muted?
We missed the punchline.
Did you? Okay, I'm gonna say it
Yeah.
again. So we compromised, and 3 weeks ago we got two dogs.
Oh God, I love it.
Oh, yeah. And he goes, compromise. And I'm like, that is so good, and it's so funny. And he goes, okay, he goes, so I'm kind of making it up because it's like we didn't actually have a conversation about when. I'm like, well, we actually didn't have a conversation at all. So why am I telling you that? It's funny. First of all, it's a great way to start a meeting. But it is exactly the 7, the enthusiast of it's fun. And we're going to just turn this into, okay. So I turned a tragic moment into a, how can I make it better and go over the top because you can't take a tragic moment and make it the same. Like you can't get another dog right after losing a dog and then not expect it to be the same. It can't be the same, right? It's not the same. So instead, make it ultra crazy and get two so that it's not the same. It's not even close to the same. While the investigator wants to check it all off and do it in a proper manner, he married the enthusiast, which he is very clear of. Okay. So thank you for letting me share that. So our follow-up for today and our last, and I want to make sure that you guys have plenty of time to share. The follow-up question to close today, about regarding specifically one of the things in the book was, how have you come with a story or an experience of how you found yourself in security, right? There's safety and security, or not safety and security. It's not the word for safety. What was it? It was stress. There's stress with your number. What happens to you when you stress, and then what happens to you when you're in connected with security. So the specific question was a story and experience around how you found yourself in security then, and how you reacted, and how, yeah, actually what a blessing that is. So let's do that portion, and then let's have a little bit of a wrap up from everybody, okay? So whoever wants to share whenever.
I do.
Okay, Dory.
Okay, because sometimes it takes me a while to figure out what all of this stuff means, but this one I kind of got, I think.
Yeah.
Well, at least in my mind, I have it. What does it sound, feel, and smell like? And does it allow me to be helped if not secure? Okay. My stress goes to nobody can do it as well as I do, and why don't I have to do everything because nothing else will be perfect if I don't do it well. Okay. It also says when I go to a group and I am with somebody on a fun vacation, that's how I view my visit to Dallas, Texas in the seminar program. I allow myself to not have to do everything. I allow all my friends, my sisters and Mary Kay, my kids and all the rest to do things with me and for me, and I don't have to do it all, and I don't care if it's done right or perfect. It doesn't even matter if it doesn't get done. I love going to Dallas for that particular reason, and I just figured it out.
Great.
I know it's weird, but it's not. I mean, it's explained. Now I know why I like going so well. And it's because I don't have to do anything. If I don't want to carry my luggage, I pay somebody to do it, or somebody grabs it and takes it. And I don't care. I don't care where they put it. I don't care if they don't open it. I don't care if it's just outside the room is good enough. All of it. It's just how that is a luxury for me to not have to think about doing something more perfect and doing something that it basically is an unending process, because there's always something else that has to be done, but I don't have to do it.
Right. There's huge maturity there. That's good for perfectionists, and that's good for helpers. Ones and twos, that's really good for you to release it and let someone else do it, because it doesn't matter.
No, it really doesn't. And it's just a good example of everything else around here.
Yep.
And today's lunch is going to be that way. At 1 o'clock, I'm going to start the roast for dinner. Is that okay if we eat at 4? Yes, dear, it's fine. And my first thought was, well, make sure you salt and pepper and put some and didn't say nothing.
Good, because he's 72 or 73 years old and he's still alive, so he must know how to do something or he'd be dead.
Right.
He's been feeding himself for a while.
Hopefully. You'll be sad if you can't. You'll be over there a lot. The other thing is that a long time ago, I saw an encouraging ad, if you want to call it that, about parenting and how little kids were doing a car wash for dad. And there were spots that they missed. But instead of saying, oh, you missed that spot over there, he said, wow, look at this really shiny spot. Doesn't it look great? And the kids found the rest of it. But he pointed out the shiny spot. And I have been employing that in my compliments. Thank you for dinner. It was great you cooked. It was, I appreciate the extra help, all the things, instead of, well, you forgot that and you didn't do this and blah, 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 blah. So that has been really helpful in encouraging more things to be done, instead of, because they don't, and the to-do list, that just gets buried under the pile of mail that comes. It's just, so forget that. I mean, it's good to have a list somewhere, but it doesn't have to be directed at anybody.
Great. Point out the shiny spot. I like that. Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Who else?
Do you want Bethany to go? Bethany, you want to go? Because I know you got to pick up Frankie.
Sure, I'll go right off the bat. So a lot of this week was focusing on like twos and relationships with twos. And one thing that caught me off guard was actually reading the kid part because I have a lot of childhood trauma that I've worked past, but probably not fully past. And I thought it was super interesting that it said things like the twos are always the ones to volunteer for, let me hand all these out, let me pick all the balls up. That's how I was in athletics. Like I would be late to practice because I was probably helping somebody else, but I would stay late. And same thing with like when I go to parties, like I'll stay late to help clean up. I'll come late, but I'll stay late. Now with kids, it's a little bit different. I have, schedules to keep a little bit more, but I generally always see myself as the last to leave because I'm always helping someone. And like Dory was saying, like helping find that balance it's taken more time because yes, I still have kids, but I still like to go, oh, well, I want to say goodbye or have a conversation with so and so or see how they're doing and catch up with them. And then I realize, oh my gosh, I should have left an hour ago. My kids have to get to bed. And I forget to think about all the things. And I feel guilty, mom guilt, friend guilt. Like I didn't catch up with so and so, or I didn't say hi to whoever. And um, I find myself getting overwhelmed sometimes where like half the time I'm like, you know what, if I can't make it, I can't make it because I'm just going to be overwhelmed because I can't do all the things. And yeah, so I am married to what I think is an investigator. And this week he and I were having a conversation and he was like, well, do you want romantic security or do you want financial security? And I was like, well, I've never been financially secure at any point in my life because I've always been a starving artist, like I'm the performer. So there's no stability in that, or I'm giving to other people with the helper personality. And so financial stability really hasn't ever been a constant in my life, even as a very young child. And so I was like, well, then I would need romantic security because I want to know that if I do something wrong, you have my back. And he, starts asking all these questions, and overwhelming me. But the long story short is it made me realize like a lot of what has shaped who I am today started at that childhood point where I wanted to do all the things and help with all the things, even though I was maybe overextending myself. And now I'm realizing, okay, that's not so great. It doesn't work so well in all of the relationships. Yes, it's nice for people, but they are most likely going to underappreciate. And even today, I think my husband has a two wing because today he was telling me that he volunteered himself for free to help a friend. Once again, like the third or fourth time he's done it in the last couple of weeks for this person to help move some stuff around in their new they bought a event center, and so he's gonna go help them move some furniture and put some shelving up and all that. And I was like, that's great, but are you taking care of you? And I realized I'm like talking to myself as I'm talking to him because I'm like, he volunteers for things without thinking, oh, hey, I'm taking time away from my family, or hey, we had plans. And so that's why he was even informing me that he was going to volunteer to do this. And it's just like, oh, I was talking to myself as I was telling him, like, hey, make sure you set that boundary. Make sure you are, okay with anytime you say yes to him, because in relationship times in past with this specific person, they've crossed your boundary and they didn't know it, and then it got a little iffy, and then you were hurt, and then you were upset, and it took a few years for you guys to talk and communicate again, and helping him remember all that. And I'm like, I am totally speaking to the two in me. Like that is, and I started consciously thinking about, okay, where in the last 3 weeks, because the last 3 weeks have been extremely stressful for work for me. And I'm like, where in the last 3 weeks did I overextend myself? And I started pointing down the list. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I should have said no. I should have kept my boundary. I should have, going down all that. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take some time to myself and think about that. And then, figure out how to better approach it next time, or give myself an extra pause to think before I respond too. So
Yes,
Yeah.
extra pause. I like that,
Mhm.
Bethany. I also like the word, especially with helpers. I've actually talked a lot with Maggie Fortman and Fortman, yeah, about this. I like the word healthy in front of any number, but particularly helpers. Can you be a healthy helper?
Mm.
Can you be a healthy helper? Can you help clean up after the party and be like, and now it's 9 o'clock and now I love you, goodbye? Can you be a healthy helper? Because this whole discovering who you are, this isn't about changing. This is about like embracing it at your best. It's embracing it at your best of you. Like I used to want to skydive, bungee jump, da 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 la 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 la. Okay, that's not the good part of being an enthusiast. That's danger. That's a lot of danger. Okay, that would not behoove me. Okay, would I want to do it all? Sure. Yeah. Should I? No, probably not. So, healthy enthusiast, right? Healthy. Be your healthy number. You know, loyalist. You could say lively for loyalist. Be a lively loyalist.
Yeah, and you're talking about bungee jumping and doing all that stuff. I'm like,
I know. I know.
don't
Totally.
do it.
Totally. I know, totally. Because you're thinking what the worst is that's going to happen. So I want you to be a lively loyalist. Right. So this discovering these things, this brings us awareness, talking it out, discussing these things, talking it out, talking through it, right? I'm hearing Bethany, I hear a lot of stressful languaging in your words. Chaos, overwhelm, busy, rough. So that will 100% feed into an unhealthy helper because that will feed into that. And then the helper will want to go all these different places and do all these different things. And when we replace those words with abundance, calm, calm, excited, calm, confident, abundantly full, like we can have the same life, but it's a matter of what the definition of those words do in our brain and what we're going to create, right? I have never found the word chaos to be a positive word. And I'm 57. I feel like I'd have found it by now. It would have been. Somebody I know has a friend who uses chaos to describe her children's lives. Chaos and cowboys is what she described her life and said she liked it like that. And I said, how does that word make you feel? Great. I'm like, I don't think it does make you feel great. But basically, why she did that was that was like what she knew. And she embraced a negative word and tried to turn it into a positive thing. The definition of that word is not positive. There's floods and hurricanes. That's chaos. I don't want to be part of a flood and a hurricane. Flood of love, maybe, right? Hurricane of hugs, right? So how do we language these things? And I think, Bethany, I'm simply saying this also because having Wedding of the Century on Saturday, we are surrounded with all of those potential words. And we're consciously choosing. Like, right, exactly. Like Cece and I are talking constantly. How you doing? How you doing, bride? How you doing, little kid? How you doing, girl? How you doing, mother of the bride? You know, like where where are we at? Checking in with my mom. Like where, my former mother-in-law checked in with me to make sure I sounded good. And she goes, wow, you sound great. I said, I am. And she knows me for 35 years. So it was a good person to check on me. And it just reminded me that even if I did feel internal, because that's normal. Cece and I just had a conversation, Bethany and Tracy, particularly like you two right now, just had a conversation with Cece, before this, we were both on a Zoom. There's events we're trying to plan for you guys. They involve other people. We're trying to figure it out, right? And I literally said to Cece, I'm feeling anxious about literally trying to do this right now. I cannot. Stopped. I stopped thinking about it. I stopped answering her. She knew exactly what I was doing. I set up a can't do this moment boundary. And I was so proud of myself. It made me think of you, Bethany, because I know you've been working on boundaries. Bethany, I think about you a lot, just so you know. And that's one of the things that I really like about these things that we're doing together is we're learning together. We're learning together, right? How to navigate these. I like that word, navigate. Navigate the children, the chores, the jobs, the weddings, the events, the sales, the E2E voucher, the Zooms, all the things that you're navigating, and making myself stop and pause. I liked that word that you said that. I pause, take a pause, Bethany. I really liked that you said that. Take a pause and go, okay, is this, is that? Yeah, I like that you said that. I really like that you said that. Take a pause. See, mom's things for today is point out the shiny spot. And Bethany's words for me for today are to take a pause. I really like that. Any Enneagram can benefit from taking a pause, but I really think helpers can benefit from that the most.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Is this, remember, like, is this, support my faith, family, career? Is it right in that? And am I in there? Does this support, is doing what I'm doing right now getting me to my goals? Is doing what I'm doing right now getting me to my dreams? Is doing what I'm doing right now? And I think also when you have littles, I think that because also you're in a unique spot than the rest of us, Bethany. If I could go back, if I could go back, that's why I want to stay so tight to you always. Because remember, I had 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I could go back with what I now know. Now we know stuff, right? And Bethany, look at all these moms that you got like around you that are like, go, Bethany, you can do it. You can do it. Like the pause in the is helping them because a yes to that is a no to something else. In all, that's everyone's life. A yes to something is a no to something else. So is the thing you're saying yes to oh, okay, talking about balance, is the thing you're saying yes to okay, that better than the thing that then you're going to have to say no to, the yes thing that you want to do? Is it better than the thing that you are going to have to say no to by saying this yes? Mom.
I think one of the things that happens to helpers, because I'm a partial helper,
Yeah.
is that the thing in the moment is that it's either exciting or you're overwhelmed with the feeling that you have to help, or you're in a situation where nothing else matters but getting that particular person's assistance done at this particular moment. You don't take the time or the pause to think about what's going to happen later when I'm not available and I should have been. I think it's the excitement of the moment, and you have to understand personally what is that value of that excitement. Is it to just make yourself feel better because you did something for someone, or is it truly making a difference in that other person's life?
Love
Boy,
that.
by the time we get to heaven, we are going to be perfect.
Okay, good.
I just
Trace,
added in the
Ash,
chat,
Elsa, yeah,
I'll just read them for the sake of the recording here, but the actual definition of chaos, just a brief Google, is a state of utter confusion or disorder, a total lack of organization or order. Something that I thought of, because you guys know I'm the verbiage queen, is the word energy. The definition of energy is the strength and vitality required for sustained physical or mental activity. I think that's energy as it applies to a human. Energy as it applies to a space could be a better describing word for what I know sometimes your home to be, Bethany, which is just full of energy. There's
yes,
running, right?
yeah,
There's
yeah,
because they're kids, they're gonna yell, they're fighting over here. This one's laughing, this one's crying, this one needs a diaper change. Like that is energy to me. That sounds like a room full of energy and
yes,
buzzing, right? So you can choose to say, wow, there's a lot of energy in this room. Let's take a step back from this. And can we bring the energy down? Or can we bring the energy up? Like everyone's a little sad today. Can we put on some bluey? You know, just like thinking of a specific example where you could actually go somewhere from how can I transform the energy in the space rather than thinking from a chaotic standpoint. So like I'm thinking too of even say our Monday night events. Like when someone walks in that's like, ooh, she's fun. Like what's Sheol? What's all that about, right? Or like the outfit or whatever. Or like when you're being welcomed with a freaking tambourine, it's gonna be a good time, right? And if like did we just walk into something? Like, is everybody okay here? Like, do we need to shake the tambourine a little harder? We can sense those things. So I think, like the word maximized, which I think you kind of coined that, Mom. You can go somewhere from being maxed out. You can minimize. There's nowhere to go from overwhelm. There's nowhere to go. So how do you back up from it? Is to minimize, right? How do you create positive energy when maybe there's a little bit of negative energy? So I think that just was like such a cool verbiage swap in my head too, of like a room, a space can have energy. So what kind of energy is in it?
yes. Also, I know we've spent quite a bit of time here with Bethany, but also I'd like to add that helpers are prevalent. Helpers are prevalent. And I think in our business, I know a lot of helpers. I have a lot of helpers in my life. Sometimes I have to tell the helpers no sometimes. Oh, we got it. Thanks. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. I'm getting texts from all the helpers. Do you
Me
need
too.
me this week? Right? And it's, oh my gosh, it's like heartwarming.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like heartwarming. And I think because there's so many, and actually it's the most in our Enneagram in this group. The most was
Mhm.
helpers, a third of them. So I think that 3 or 4. I think that makes it good that we're spending this amount of time, like, diving into this and like learning this. Maggie Fortman, on the rare occasion when she has said no to me, I hate it. You don't say no to me. You never say no to me. That's not how you roll. Yeah, I know, Lisa, I got to say no to somebody. We've had those conversations, like then you get to expect the helper to constantly be saying yes all the time. And that's not fair to the helper, right?
Right.
So it's like you're trying to set the boundary for
Right.
the poor helper, and then right, and you're just creating this thing. But I think also with awareness of all of us, we don't have to rely on Bethany, Tracy, Maggie. Oh, we'll just ask them because we know they'll do it. No. I do give pause when I know I'm speaking to helpers on asking them to do something. So, and then I expect helpers to stand up for themselves and say, can't do that, can't be there, or whatever, right? I expect it. And then sometimes as a coach, I'm like, is that the helper talk? Is that the, Who's answering me right now? Is that the actual answer? Is that the answer you're supposed to be giving right now? Um, so I like yeah, I like that definition, Cece, that the energy. I like that a lot. Also, you cannot also what's like the thing that you rely on for enthusiasts, you rely on us to bring up the energy in the room and it gets exhausting. So when you see me dancing around on Monday nights, usually it's because I love to do that because I am energy and I am right. That's usually because I love that. Sometimes I'm like looking around like, what is happening? Where is everyone relying on me to do it? Because one of my transformation things says walk in and just be in there and don't do all the stuff. And I'm like, oh, I don't know how to do that. So that's the thing that's one of my transformation things to work on. Okay. So we got point out the shiny spot and take a pause. What else we got? Who else? Remember to pick up Frankie, Bethany.
2 minutes.
Great. Look at us. Look at us being so helpful to the helper.
Thanks.
So
Yeah,
going off of your statement, Lisa, about taking a pause. So that's something that I've been doing too. When I find myself in those stressful situations where I'm thinking the worst about a, certain, I don't know, certain thing,
Yeah.
thinking the worst if I'm, wanting to do something, or thinking the worst when, Tony left on Saturday to go to Iowa. He was driving by himself, and of course I'm thinking the worst. So I'm like, make sure you text me, those all, I just have to stop sometimes. And, sometimes, so I've incorporated like asking myself 3 times, how is this stress serving me? And is it something that I can control? Right? Like, is the worst case scenario that I'm putting into my brain, is it something I can control? I can't. So I just need to, remember that, that worst case scenario is not in all cases going to happen. And I'm not going to be able to control it anyways. What I can control is the stress that I'm putting myself under. So that's one thing that I've been doing. And I've also been incorporating, like I said last week, those devotions before I go to bed, because they really keep me like grounded and kind of, okay, I'm in a good mindset. Okay, I can sleep now and not have to worry about waking up in the middle of the night thinking about something. And what I have done too is last week, I had my leaders at work actually take the leaders underneath me actually take the Enneagram test as well.
Yeah.
And we met and went over, I shared some of the tidbits from the book and just some tidbits that we've been talking about during this meeting. And it really has opened up my mind to know like why they act a certain way in certain situations, so that I know, okay, well, that would make sense. Oh, well, that would make sense. You're a investigator, or that would make sense. You're procrastinator, like those types of things. So yeah, it definitely has helped me that way in just knowing what type they are as well. So yeah, I think I'm totally in tune with what I need to do. Do I do it all the time? And I think we all are in that way. Like, do we do it all the time? As long as we stop and think before we're acting, I think that's the taking a pause. You just have to stop and think before you're acting or before you're doing something that is not going to serve you. So yeah.
Bethany, Ashley, I've had this conversation with Cece, and maybe you've heard this as the loyalist. You literally write what is the worst case scenario? What actually is it?
Mhm.
So let's do a real life example.
Mhm.
Tony,
Yeah.
what is the worst case scenario? He drives to Iowa. What's the worst thing that could happen?
He gets in a car accident, or he stops at a gas station and meets somebody that's not. So I don't know. That's what I think of. Gas stations scare me. I'm just like, You all know I'm scared
Okay.
of gas stations. So,
Okay, so what's the worst case scenario?
um, that he doesn't make it home, I would say. That would
Okay.
be the worst case scenario.
Okay, what's the best case scenario?
That he makes it home.
Okay,
Yep.
and that's kind of okay. Let's specifically, you were specifically talking about him getting to Iowa. So what's the worst
Yeah.
case scenario? For going to Iowa, what's the worst case scenario?
That he doesn't, wait, what do you mean? Like that he gets in a car
In a car
accident?
accident and dies.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
What's the best case scenario?
That he doesn't get in a car accident and die, I would say. I don't know. Yeah.
That there's no traffic, that he flies down there. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What's likely to happen is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
So did he get there?
Yes.
Did he get in a car accident?
No.
Did he meet any strangers in the gas station?
No.
Okay. So when the loyalist then uses the logical part of their brain, which works very well in a loyalist mind, when you literally go, what's the worst case? What's the best case? And it's going to be somewhere in the middle.
Mhm.
What's the worst case? I asked this woman for a facial. What's the worst case scenario? No, I hate you. Unlikely.
Yeah.
Best case scenario, yes, and I'm bringing 50 friends. What'll actually happen? Yes, I'll be there. Like
Mhm.
when you literally do the extremes, because if you are going to go with worst case scenario,
Mhm.
that logical brain better turn around and go to the best case scenario. Because if you're looking at all the things that can possibly happen, you better put them all in there. Because he could also stop at the gas station and pull the winning lotto ticket.
Right. Yeah.
Enthusiast,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
take me on the road trip with you.
Mm-hmm.
We will probably get in a car accident, but we will not die.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm way better than I used to be. That's for sure.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
We've
yes.
had conversations about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can
Way
even
better than I
tell,
used to
like,
be. Yeah.
yeah. So
Mhm.
I like that you said that. I like that you said you're like literally, and this is how I've worked through it. I am doing my devotions in the evening
Mhm.
and stopped myself and went, okay. And you're like literally clearing your head by doing your devotion in the evening of removing that. And the only thing you can controlling the controllable, your mind.
Yep.
That's your sentence for today. That's what I heard. Controlling the controllable, your mind. Yes. Yes. Thanks, Ash.
Welcome. Thank you.
Trace, Rockstar. You're both muted. One of you needs to go.
All right, I unmuted. Rockstar was pointing.
Yep.
And I obeyed. Because that's what I did to help her out. So this stuff just cracks me up because it's just so real life, right?
Yeah.
And I love this. And Cece, I wish I could reach through the screen right now and just give you such a big hug. I absolutely, this one of the greatest gifts that I have anytime we are all together is the amazing way that you give us tools to then transition and use and continue to use and continue to use. If you think I'm kidding, I'm telling you what, you guys are in my head all the time.
Thanks, Trace.
All the time. And I am so using energy on a regular basis now. Love it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love every time I hear puns, Ashley. It's so awesome. Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time there, but you guys, I just wanted you to know I carry you with me all the time. And that helps me be a better person. And I'm not just saying that because I'm supposed to love on you, because I'm not, this is not exhausting me. This is me speaking truth. But, and I'm feeling secure. Um, so it talks about twos, they move to the healthier side of 4, where they aren't having to pretend that they love everybody.
Mhm.
So just to be clear, this love I'm expressing is not pretend, it's legit.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm fascinated because I think I'm somewhere between average moving to healthy. Because I've been, even before we were working on this Enneagram book, I was already listening to some of the messages that we were receiving and was making changes. So, for example, you guys know that I'm a caregiver for my dad. On occasion, I go down to Florida. They brilliantly scheduled me to be there a week after a hurricane. I didn't say the real word, anyway, hurricane, just like 2 years ago, I was there the week after Ian. Now I'm here the week after whatever this nonsense is. But it's necessary. But the condition when I found out, because my stepmom has to be with her sister for her 80th birthday, my dad cannot be alone. But the condition of my going was that my stepmom had to schedule her travel so that I could leave no later than the 17th of October, because I knew that I was committed. The second I knew the dates, I put them in the calendar and said that was non-negotiable. So the retreat is the 18th through the 20th, non-negotiable. So then I turn around and go back down there after that week, because I said I have to have a hiccup because I'm not missing this. And so that was my boundary. And I really do feel happy, and I am getting joy, and I'm working more diligently with the things that I need to do to organize my time. I have absolutely everything on my calendar on my phone. And there were commitments that I've had that are winding up. One of them isn't done until January. The other one, big commitment, is not done until May, but they're becoming minimal. And I'm just excited because I'm feeling more secure in my ability to say no and to put conditions on my helping. I can do this for you for this amount of time, but then I have to go. And then what I'm feeling is joyful as a result of it. And what I'm also experiencing is, even in my own life, when I'm having to coordinate with my husband or other members of the family, I think they are becoming more relieved because they know what to expect. I spell it out and I don't deviate.
Yeah.
And so that becomes more predictable for them too. And they know that I'm not messing around because I am committed to my bigger goals.
Yes.
So I don't know if that's answering what the question was.
Yeah.
But
yes, absolutely. Because you took a situation, and in the past, you would have let them schedule however, and then you would have apologized to me that you couldn't do or be your goal. Something that was, I knew would be important to you.
And
then you'd have felt bad. And then it
right.
creates this whole cycle, and you didn't do that. So you set up the boundary. Boundary could be a favorite word for helpers. It could be a favorite word for anybody, but particularly helpers.
Yeah.
And I heard you use the word joy several times today.
It is amazing that when you really internalize and start to accept, where am I responsibility to make things better in my life? If I'm going to be a helper, how about if I help myself?
The mask goes on your face first before you help the kid or the elderly. You have to help yourself first.
And I've often said to people, you have to take time to fill your pitcher up if you're going to keep pouring out to others. It's just now I'm making sure that I live into that.
Yeah.
Mhm. So that's my revelation. And then I love having more energy.
Full circle.
Oh, circle. Brilliance, Trace. Joy, joy, joy is what I'm writing down from you. Okay, rock star.
It's been extremely helpful. A challenger, when they get stressed, tends to withdraw and gets very, shockingly, the investigator comes out and the negative and more quiet, but farther away from their own feelings. So they don't necessarily go into situations, and so that so I can stay away. So battling a lot of that. I am not a helper. And I find myself in that role as a helper, and that tends to be more draining and more like not really sure what I can do. And so that's been an interesting transition. So this has helped a lot to like, okay, you see where you're at and then get back. So I feel when I'm me and I am excited and thrilled, the energy is so much different and very that according to this book, which obviously I feel it is the security, like, okay, I can do this. And then when I'm not, when I'm more stressed because I'm not really sure of a few things that are occurring, then I feel like that's when I take that little step and I take a step back and figure out what it is that I really want. Where do I want to put my line? And then I create my line, and then I'm back and then I go back to it. So a lot of that right now. But
You're an
it's
eight.
good to know. What?
You're an 8 with a 7 wing, the enthusiast.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. And so that's been interesting. But now it's more awareness and then getting it. And then it's really not a good thing when I'm an investigator and that's what Dan is, an investigator. And it's like, yeah, that's never a good thing. And then I don't necessarily want to come back out and be the challenger because it gets old. And then I find that I just go, whatever, I'm going to do this. And that's never good. So it's been very eye-opening, I guess, and more awareness of where to change, what's giving me my energy, what do I really love to do. And I love it when I'm strong. So I love that feeling. I love that power. And so it's like, maybe it's time just to let the others go. So we'll see.
Yeah. I wonder, Rhonda, if you're like, I don't like being the helper. It's not that you don't want to help. You just don't necessarily like that. Um, I'm wondering if it's because challengers don't like to be told what to do. You don't necessarily have to be leading the thing. You just don't want to be told how to do the thing. And I'm wondering if the stressful part comes when you feel like you didn't have a choice.
That's definitely part of it. And it's not the helper like all you amazing helpers are, you help Tracy help me out hugely. It's more that I find I've become much more sarcastic and much more put off. Like when I say this is what we should do and then it doesn't happen. And then it's like, well, why, what? And now you have a mess. And it's like, okay, can we try this again? And it's the repeat, the constant repeat. And that gets a little bit more, but yes, I love to help, but I love to be listened to is probably the key. That's probably the biggest key. So,
The challenger, yes, yes.
and then finding out when you're gonna just really just be that person and deal with that aspect of it. So It's fun.
A challenger is one of the best friends because you're like a teddy bear.
Mm.
Hmm? Yes. Not the bear that wants to kill you.
Yeah,
That, I mean that, not that
she
bear.
can be.
Yeah. Not in the stressed mode, right? But
Hmm.
the teddy bear, the challengers make some of the very best friends because you're teddy bearish on the inside. You're very also logical people. And so you're testing the waters. And one of the ways you show love is this challenge. It's like, and then once someone in your life knows that, you're like, oh, she loves me. She's questioning my stuff. Oh, like a purple teddy bear. Ashley wrote a purple teddy bear.
Always.
Yeah, yeah, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. Um, hmm, what do you guys think? What would Rhonda's sentence be?
Well, I'm just reading on page 59 where it's listing stress and security for the challenger. Under security, the sentence is eights in this space don't insist their beliefs and opinions are absolutely right, but learn to listen and value other people's points of view as well. They start to trust in something bigger than themselves. Yes, there are things in the universe larger than eights.
Questionable.
I love that. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't
It
know.
is
Open comes to mind.
I-
Open.
Open?
Yeah, open. That's a good one, Cece. And I think the same. Like, I feel, Rana, that you're always open to try new ideas. Nobody's telling you to do them. You are open to doing them. So you're always open to trying, like no matter what it is. I think open's a great word to use.
Yeah.
As long as it's your idea to run with it, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you're open to anything out there as long as it's your idea to run with it, but it makes that other person feel good, which I think is throwing in that what Lisa you were saying about the helper version. It's making that other person feel good because you're running with their idea, but it was your decision to run with it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta hop for a meeting, but
Great.
have a good one.
Thanks, Ash.
Yep. Bye.
We are a complicated
Aren't we?
group, aren't we? A complicated. Cease. How about you?
Well, I was just as Nan was talking, just kind of relating to that a bit. Let me just pull up that that paragraph again real quick. Please hold. I really like referring to the book because I'm following the rules. Okay, let's see. It said, yeah, one wing two, security. Okay. So yeah, so in security, we take on a healthy 7, which would be why I'm a very enthusiastic person and a positive person, which can be very weird when you're trying to do things perfectly and at the same time you have a positive spin on it. So it's like, well, this doesn't need to be perfect. That's okay. It's not okay, but it's okay. Like, it's a very weird perspective, but it's exactly what you were saying, Nan. Insecurity ones take on the great qualities we associate with healthy 7s, where they're more self-accepting, spontaneous, fun, open to trying new things, and being both and rather than either or. And the voice of their inner critic gets quieter. And actually, at the end of the paragraph, it describes being away from home and feeling less responsible for improving or fixing things. So I like that you brought up Dallas, which I thought was interesting. So it just reminded me of, for example, travel. Like I actually had more of a hand in planning our honeymoon in May because I just did a little bit more of the research than CB is all. And what I'm excited about is we have our 3 excursions. We know where we're going. And I asked CB about plane tickets recently. We don't go till May. He's like, we don't need to worry about that right now. I'm like, oh, you're right. And he's going to be buying them. And I don't care where we get them. And I don't care where we fly into. And he's probably going to book a red eye. And we're still going to get there. And it doesn't matter. Like, So I appreciate that, having learned how to travel with this guy, that like I could look forward to the trip and release some of that, knowing that I picked where we're going. Not well, we agreed on where we're going. I picked where we're going and who we're staying with. I helped select the excursions and the dates, and the rest will happen as it happens. And so I think in specific to travel, and you could almost put this weekend into a travel perspective, as we're going to be away from home for the weekend, is like I can only do what I can do, and then the rest will get resolved however it gets resolved. And even along like those little things that creep up, because I definitely have a worst case scenario default switch that I'm working on turning off, like the loyalist. I too go to best case, or simply just let it go, which takes obviously practice and discipline in doing that. I saw a really interesting video of a gal that was driving, recording herself for whatever reason, I don't know. And she made this face and she's like, excuse me, you don't belong in this car. Goodbye. Goodbye. And she said at that moment she was actually having really scary visions, like Ashley described, of like crashing and leaving her family, like, ah. And it's like, actually, that's just the devil. And you don't belong in this car. You don't belong in my mind. You don't belong in my brain. Like, goodbye. No, in the name of Jesus, get out of my car. Right. And so it's like we can call upon our faith to help us through those moments. And then it is as simple as like, is that even realistic? Like, I'm driving safely and I'm being defensive. The rest is literally out of my control. Like, right? Like, we've worked really hard to plan this wedding, and we did all the right things. We did all the next right things, so that anything else outside of this is beyond our control. So yeah, so I'm just very pleased with like being more go with the flow, and I think that I am more that way because of who I married, for sure. Marrying actively in the next 4 days. But also then being aware of that, like in the day to day, because it can look different. So I've been giving myself a lot of grace in the last couple of weeks, and that's new, and I'm kind of relishing in it. Yeah, so go with the flow. So it's odd, and I'm accepting of it.
I didn't know if would have ever thought I would hear my firstborn organizing shoes at 2 years old going down the hallway, because that all has to be straight. Go with the flow. That's some growth right there.
Yeah.
This is big, Cease. This is big. I like that because you're a perfectionist, I like that you're like, okay, I want to pick these things about the trip, and then these things really just don't matter. So but you had to have that conversation with yourself, and in such a healthy manner that it didn't have to come to an argument with said spouse. I don't want to fly red eye. I don't want to. What about this? What about that? La. You like did all of this literally this work yourself to realize what was really actually important in the situation, and then we release the rest. That's really great. That's actually a really great way to walk into a marriage also. Understanding how you operate and understanding how the person operates. Also, you are marrying your dad. So if you're ever
I'm aware.
a second dad, she's marrying the second dad, to be clear. I married my first dad, and then I married my second dad, which is why I'm still married. And my daughter is marrying her second dad, which is why she'll stay married.
And I have 3 exes that closely resemble first.
You do. I'm really glad you came to that on your own.
Oh yeah, sure. Sure did.
This is fascinating. And also, if I can commend you on being a bride with 4.5 days to go. And here you are, calmly, you were on our noon Zoom for leaders. It's month end. We're finishing that. We've got that at midnight. We're doing ETE, planning these things for you guys that are coming up in October. Really hopeful for Red's help for our October 14th event. We would really like you guys to just basically run with it. So trying to have a conversation with you guys about that sometime in the next, I don't know when. And because enthusiasts will go with the flow a little too much. because enthusiasts will just assume that it's all going to work out. And it does. However, it's supposed to turn out. But that bothers some of you. Yeah. What if it all goes right? Yeah, because it is. Because we got some really great advice that I'm now walking around telling everyone, and this is specifically bridal related, but it literally can work for any major event in your life. A new friend of Cece's told her, I want to give you some advice. And Cece put on the face she would put on and said, okay, thinking I may or may not take your advice, because I also know how I want this day to go. And my mother and I have already had a conversation on what's important. And mother being the coach in this situation. She said, you decide on a certain time of day on rehearsal day when nothing no longer is, everything's out of your control and no one's asking you, telling you nothing. It no longer matters. So this gal had said noon on rehearsal day. Nothing else mattered. Turns out a bunch of stuff was forgotten. And the mother handled it. And the mother's best friends drove an hour, organized some people to pick up the stuff from the house. They forgot like a bunch of clothes. Kind of important for wedding day. And the mom handled it and got the friends, and the friends all met the friends and handled it. And the bride didn't even know. And Cece's like, yes, I'm totally doing that. And then Cece decided the minute she sits in the pedicure manicure chair at 1 p.m. on Friday, it's done. And I'm like, that is brilliant. Wonder how we could use that in other things that we have to do within our lives, right? Because at some point during the thing, it no longer matters. Cece does this to me when we have our events on Monday nights. Because what am I? 5 minutes before the thing starts, I'm going to change it all. What about this? Should we add this? Should we add this? Should we get this? Mom, it's great. It's fine. It's done. Last week during Lori Hogg, I literally get a random text from my daughter. Don't listen to anything. Your makeup's already fine. You're fine. Don't change anything. Stop listening. Don't change anything else for the wedding. You're fine. Like, I'm like, this is what I'm reduced to, because we're ready, because we're prepared, because we know it's important, because at the end of the day, are they married? Yes.
Yes.
So the enthusiast, to wrap this up, to use the wedding as a perfect example, is the event is already the event. The enthusiast doesn't have to work hard to make the event better. The event is already the event. The event is already spectacular. It's a wedding. It already has what you're looking for. Energy will already be there. Amazing energy will be there. It's not a funeral. People want to come to a wedding. Right. The energy, right, will already be there. B-Rad has it so organized. I mean, she is spectacular. And it's her friend Lisa, and it's her friend Cece, and who's also her director, and her senior director Lisa. And she wants it to be spectacular because of who we are as people. So she's got like extra level of spectacular that she wants it to be. That she said, Lisa, I don't want you to have to worry about anything. I said, good, because I'm not gonna. So I released that. Therefore, when people want to say things to you like, what about this? What about that? No, here, no, past, behind me, no. And because one of my things that for me to work on was I don't need to bring the energy to everything I go to, because also as within expecting Maggie to say yes to me all the time, people expect the enthusiast to show up with the tambourine and light it up for people if they're not feeling it. That's pressure on the enthusiast. That affects your adrenal glands if you're constantly running on adrenaline. I already know that's a challenge this week, so going to take a little rest after this. Yeah. Okay. So that's a little bit on the enthusiast there. Let's see. I think that pretty much covers everyone. We didn't really hear from the peacemakers, sadly, because our peacemakers couldn't make it on. I really would have liked to have known more about them. How many helpers did I say we have?
thought it was 3. Thought it was Steph, I think.
No, she's a perfectionist unless she changed it. Unless she changed it to help her. But I've been just
Wait.
really enjoying. Oh, we have 4 helpers. Yeah, I knew we had more helpers.
She's the one.
I've just been really enjoying like listening to you girls and learning more about what you're sharing. And you know, this helps your coach work with you better. When we understand these things about you, this really helps us. It helps us a lot. And then when we know people in our lives that are also what you are. So if my son is a challenger, Rhonda's a challenger, the next challenger I run into, I've got Mason and Rhonda in my head already. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's how I work with that person. Oh yeah, I got the helpers. I did this with Maggie so long ago. I knew she was a helper. That then it's easier to help with these helpers. So knew Cece was a perfectionist from her doing this a long time ago. So I knew that. And so I'm mindful choosing my words as a coach. And as a mom and daughter up there with Dory, we just are still figuring it out all the time. Just still figuring it out. And I think the word that's coming to me to mind for me today is honor. Honor and respect your healthiest level of your Enneagram, and honor and respect those around you when they are not at their healthiest because they didn't do the study. They're not in the book study. They're not in Courage Nation. They may not even be in Mary Kay. They might not be in therapy. They might be just trying to just live. Okay. Right. So if we could honor and respect ourselves for what we've learned about each other and learned about this, and then have that same honor and respect for those that are still coming along in that journey with us, that don't have it quite all yet, who might be in the unhealthy version of themselves and may just not know it. They may just not know it. But you can have a little inside giggle that you know where they're coming from, a not disrespectful giggle, a like, oh, yep, I remember that. And then use your healthiest number of your Enneagram in yourself to help that person. Support them in their journey too. Okay. I think that's a wrap. I think that is a wrap. You girls are amazing. I've just really enjoyed this with you guys. Thank you. We'll do E to E tonight. Tomorrow night is Celebrate and Connect. The flyer is already posted in boards as of yesterday. This morning it's in wherever, Vox. And remember, it is typically, unless it's a weekend, it's the first business day. It's the first business day of the month, unless that falls on a Friday. I wouldn't ask you to come on a Zoom on a Friday night unless it was different. It would not typically be the Celebrate and Connect would not fall on a weekend night. Okay. So that's what we got. And it's going to be fast and furious. And I'm hopeful we're going to hear about some new products or promotions. I'm hopeful for both. I'm hopeful for both. So we didn't have any major promotions for September. So maybe we'll get, yeah, fingers crossed for sure. So let's bang it out by midnight. Okay. We still got stuff to do. And we can do this together. Okay. All right. Love you all. Thank you so much. Appreciate you all. Bye.